Hi, I'm Chad, and welcome back to Button Willow Raceway Park. Today is Sunday, race day of round one of CRA. It's free practice right now, so I'm gonna get geared up and head out for my first free practice session. Got an exciting day ahead of me. I'm racing in two races. Love motorcycles. The Amateur Super Sport 600, which is super stock rules, and then the Amateur Super Bike 600, which is super bike build rules or super sport. If you're familiar with Moto America rules or World Superbike rules, but I'm entered in both, and based on my qualifying yesterday, looks like I'm going to be on pole. Still haven't gotten official grid positions yet, but I was the fastest in my group by about 3.2 seconds with a 1:56.967. So gonna wait and see those grid positions, but right now I'm gonna head out, spin a couple laps, and try to get a couple practice starts in. So let's get geared up and get going. Practice went well, did a 1:58.19. Now it's time for the riders meeting. All right, got about an hour and a half until my first race. So we're gonna go sit back, relax, maybe watch a little bit of racing, and then try to go get it. I missed. I was coming into sunset. I missed second.
Your drive seemed a little weak. I was like, oh, what the
That's why I was in third.
Oh my God. Woo! I got your fun. I got a video of your finish now. I'll send it to you on Insta.
Thank
I wanted to give you a lap off, man. I wanted to give you a lap off so bad.
I know. I blew the
bit.
start, dude. I was down at fourth.
What?
Yeah, into turn one.
Yeah, that's right. I was like, oh, you just created a shit ton of work for yourself.
Oh, thank you guys.
Got 10 Ds. Hard earned too. To the line. It's gonna make for a cool story.
All right, so almost lost that last one, but we did it. First place, 0.024 seconds. Missed my downshift. I didn't move my ankle enough for the shifter to return on the spring, so went out of that corner in third gear and had no drive, but I had enough of a gap where I barely had the time to spare. So did it. First race win. Whew. So I'm gonna get ready. I'm gonna go check out the Gold Cup race and then get ready for my second race of the day, Amateur Superbike 600. So let's go and see if we can do it again. So while this weekend didn't end on the best note, I definitely want to look at it for its achievements, and there were quite a few for me, and I reached some new milestones as you can see here. But before we talk about that, let's just talk a little bit about what happened with the crash. It was the out lap, the sighting lap for the Amateur 600 Superbike race, or really just the 600 Superbike race since they do a two-wave start. I was going out kind of in the back of the pack, and I, being on pole position, wanted to do everything I could to keep my tires hot. I knew I wanted to try my best to get the whole shot into turn one, and definitely wanted as much grip as I could possibly have to make that attempt. In an effort to, again, keep some heat in my tires, my outlap pace was a little bit higher than that of the people around me, so I tried to be cautious and skate on by that guy on the orange R6, and as I was going to turn into cotton corners, someone high-sided right in front of me. I've looked back on this many times. I've rewatched the crash at least 20 times at this point, and I'm not really sure what else I could have done differently, but just have not been there in the first place. So that's a learning experience for sure. Basically what happened is I was trail braking into the corner, and as I watched the rear of the bike in front of me step out, that bike stopped accelerating very quickly, and that gap of a couple bike lengths became just a few feet very shortly. I was already on the brakes, so I just squeezed a little bit harder and tucked the front, went for a slide, ended up in the dirt, bounced, my airbag went off in my suit, I donked my head in my beautiful glossy carbon Pista GPRR, so my gear's written off. Bike's got a bit of damage here, a little hole in the bodywork, the brake lever guard, really the bar tube, the throttle tube, gonna need to be replaced, as well as a foot peg. On the whole though, the bike's not too bad. The master cylinder got a little bit of rash, and I think the banjo bolt is bent or was knocked loose or something. So I needed to upgrade the master cylinder anyways. So I'm not super bummed about that, more so just about my gear, but on the upside, I'm totally fine. I was sore afterwards, and of course had a little bit of a headache from donking my head, but never lost consciousness or anything. And you know, we're a few days later now, and I'm feeling pretty good. I think within a week of the crash, I'll be 100%. Really glad that there were no long-term impacts from that. And I have to say, looking back on it, being just where I was in that moment, I really don't think that there could have been a better outcome there. If I had held my line I'm confident I would have run that person over or hit their bike and had a much worse crash than I did. And at the same time, if I had stood the bike up and tried to run off the track and avoid that person, I risked getting hit by the guy on the orange R6 that I had just passed a moment before that. So all in all, I think it was probably the best outcome given the situation, as unfortunate as it was in the first place. After taking a long drive home and really just thinking about the whole weekend and letting it soak in, I've decided that this is something that I really want to look back on positively. This was a huge weekend for me. I shaved over 3 seconds off of my best lap time on Buttonwillow's configuration 13 clockwise. I qualified for my first pole positions, and I won my first race. That's huge. That's an achievement that not all club racers get to enjoy, and it's something I've worked really hard to be able to do over the past year or so, and it's honestly one of the biggest achievements of my life at this point. I'm super proud of it. I am a little bit disappointed still, of course, that I wasn't able to even grid up and fight in the 600 Superbike race. I'm confident that I had the pace and the energy after recharging and resting and hydrating to again fight for the win, but it is what it is, and such is racing. This weekend I've proven to myself that I have the confidence and the collectiveness to be able to lead a race and lead it till the end. I think the biggest thing I'm lacking at this point is really just the fitness, as well as having a race suit that fits me properly, which, being that my race suit is absolutely covered in dirt, rashed up on both sides, and has a deployed airbag inside of it right now, it's time to replace. So I'm gonna make sure I get a suit that fits me properly, and hopefully that'll help with my ability to relax and breathe a little bit better as I'm riding on the bike. Hopefully I won't wear myself out as quickly, and I'll be able to be more competitive for a longer duration of time. So looking back at the 600 Supersport race, again, I'm super stoked that I was able to take the win, but I was getting seriously fatigued towards the end of the race. Again, just from a combination of my lack of fitness, the tightness of my suit, and then in addition to that, I came to find that my rear tire pressure was actually a bit too high. If you go back and rewatch some of the clips, you'll notice, particularly coming out of right-hand corners, there were a couple times where the rear was getting a little bit loose and I was shaking a little bit. I wasn't getting the kind of traction that I was really accustomed to on corner exit, and I'm confident that that was because my tire pressure was a little bit too high. I have just a cheap AutoZone gauge that I was using, and it was about 2 PSI off actually, according to the tire gauge that the Dunlop guy came over and tested my tires with. That's a $150 pro grade gauge versus my $9.99 AutoZone bargain bin gauge. So I'm gonna trust that his gauge is more accurate than mine. And I was getting a little bit of cold tearing on the right-hand side of the tire as well. So I'm confident that if I had had the right pressure, that would have eased up a little bit on the amount of effort that I had to put into riding the bike, and probably would have saved a little bit of energy for me at the end of the race. But nevertheless, I'm really proud of the race as a whole. I was in the 157s all race from lap 3 on. So as soon as I got clear of those first few guys and started chasing down the leader and got past him, each of those laps was in the 157, including the final lap where I made the biggest mistake of my race, which was missing the downshift to second gear going into the final corner on the final lap. That cost me basically all of my drive on corner exit, and luckily I was on the Daytona 675R, so I had a little bit of mid-range that was able to pick me up out of the corner. I'd estimate I probably had about a second of an advantage going into that corner, and lost basically all of it just on the exit and going onto the front straight to the guy behind me on an R6. So luckily it was just enough of an advantage where I was able to cross the line 0.024 seconds ahead of the guy in second place, and to, you know, come and take home the win. So I'm really happy about that, but again, wish I hadn't made those mistakes. Was hoping I'd be able to get out there for the 600 Superbike race and redeem myself a little bit in my own eyes. But I think the most important thing here is to take a little bit of the pressure off of myself and really appreciate the win. It's something I'm really proud of. Really happy to have won my first race. Milestone achievement for me in my own life. Also just, again, trimming down time, getting into the 56s. I ran a 1 minute 56.967 second lap in qualifying that put me on pole position for both of my races. Coming out of this, I'm gonna get my bike all fixed up. I'm gonna get some new gear. I'm gonna focus on my fitness, and I'm excited to continue making progress in both my riding and racing abilities. And before I wrap this up, I just want to give a shout out and a thank you, well, many thank yous actually, to a lot of different people that really helped me out throughout the weekend. On Friday, my buddies Will and Josh for kicking it with me and hanging out with me in the pits, helping out with my stands, my tire warmers. Goes both ways, and I helped out too, but it's just great to have friends at the track. And everybody else that I saw throughout the weekend. Ernie, I met Ben, Alex, a lot of really cool people I got to meet and see again, like Jerry. So really great day, great weekend overall. Shout out and thank you to Lindsay, to Corey, Scott, to Greg, to Crystal, and massive gratitude, appreciation, and thank yous to my buddy Sean and my buddy Robert. Check Robert out on YouTube, Squid Vids, and check both him and Sean out on Instagram. Actually, I'm just gonna throw some Instagram handles up here. Check them all out, good friends of mine, super awesome people, also love motorcycles, love to ride. I got so much help and support and just felt really great the whole weekend because of everything that those people were all able to do for me. So again, I just want to express my gratitude for that and let everybody know that I really appreciate the friendship and camaraderie. And I think that's probably one of the best things about racing, honestly. You make some of the best friends at the racetrack. So if you've never been to the racetrack before, highly recommend you get out there, go talk to people while you're there. You're gonna have the time of your life. So in summary, despite the crash, overall it was a fantastic weekend. Took my first race win, took my first pole positions, shaved over 3 seconds off of my lap times over the weekend, made some new friends, and overall just proved to myself that I have what it takes to win races and be competitive. So going forward, I'm gonna focus on doing everything that I can to put myself in the best state of mind and state of body so that I can continue to make progress on the bike, get faster, and keep fighting for victories. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you gave me a gentle little click of the like button and considered subscribing for more amateur motorcycle racing content. Got some exciting stuff coming up a little bit further on into the year, racing at Laguna Seca, Willow Springs, back at Button Willow. Gonna be doing some more track days as well as soon as I can get my bike fixed up and get some new gear. Probably gonna go club racing, maybe with CVMA or AFM, do a couple of reciprocity rounds throughout the rest of the year. Also posting stuff with my Tuono V4 behind me on a more regular basis, as well as my WR250X back there in the corner. Drop a comment below. Have you crashed on a sighting lap before if you're a racer, or have you crashed at the track? What was it like? How did you feel? Were you okay? I really hope so, but let's talk about it down there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hope to catch you in the next one. Until then, later.